I'm here in Medjugorje and I'm in Hotel Grace and I'm with, what's your name?
Sister Gabriel.
And your name?
Sister Guadalupe.
And your name?
Sister Joy.
And your name?
Mary Jo.
Unbelievable. Full of the spirit in front of me. I'm blown away. And you say first time in Medjugorje?
Yes. First time for all of us,
And it's
yes.
the first day, no?
First full day.
And how is the first impression of being here?
It has been so peaceful. That's what I've experienced.
Yeah.
I've enjoyed seeing all of the different pilgrims from everywhere, and they're all different ages and they're all different like walks of life, and so it's really beautiful to see them all come here together.
And where did you go on the first day?
Apparition Hill.
Apparition Hill?
Yeah.
Yes.
And how was Apparition Hill? Let's go to her over here.
How
It
was
was beautiful.
A lot of sun I see in your face.
A lot of
no?
sun. Yes, it was beautiful. I thought it's not what I was expecting, but it was very beautiful. It was beautiful to see all the different people, different age group, different countries, and just like the reverence and the silence that was there.
Silence was there. For you? For you, Apparition Hill? What was your experience there? Going up in front of the statue of Our Lady?
I think I'd just been hearing so much about it from our reading and from our research that we had done before, but also our guide, who is from around here, and she's talked about her experience, and so it was wonderful to actually see it. And I was amazed at how many older pilgrims were who were climbing up it. One was barefoot, and just their faith, and just coming for Mary, coming for the peace, and just to think of seeing the rocks that all the pilgrims have walked. You can visually see how worn down they are from the millions of people that have come and hiked the hill as well.
Oh, they get smoother now.
They do.
They say here all these rocks are hardened hearts who are left behind on the mountain. That's what the saying is.
Yeah.
And for you, the mountain over there, full of the spirit.
I didn't know there was a crucifix up there, and I was like, I love that crucifix. I want to try and find like a small replica or something. It was beautiful, and just that, where I was sitting, I could see Our Lady and I could see Jesus, and it just, whenever I looked at her, I just felt like she, kind of points right there, and that's the whole point.
That's
so
for our friends, Protestant friends. She points to Jesus.
she points the way.
Oh, Jesus. And for you again now. On the You're shining.
I think I was also like, not like mesmerized, but like seeing how the rocks were shining from all the pilgrims going up of it, and seeing all the older people go, it just made me think, okay, I could do this, because definitely like it was a lot harder than I thought of how
steep.
rocky it was. But it also made me see of like it is a miracle that the visionaries like ran up there, because it was so hard to get up. And then once we were up there, like how peaceful it was, like by that statue. Like there were so many people up there, but I felt like we were all like in our own conversations, in our own world with Mary, which was really beautiful.
That's how it is, no? It's like a bubble and you communicate, no?
Yeah, for
And
sure.
now I'm curious, you look all so beautiful. How did you end up becoming Catholic nuns? What's the reason? Can you explain your journey a little bit? And what the beauty is of your journey?
Our stories are also different.
Very
So start with you.
nutshell. Go.
Okay, so I grew up in Lincoln, Nebraska, the United States, and growing up, I had a really good like Catholic family, and praying was very important to us. And they just really showed me like how Jesus should be the most important thing in your life. I mean, growing up in Lincoln too, we had priests and sisters like everywhere, so just seeing them as real people and getting to like know them as friends and family, and their joy is something I always wanted. And so. Sorry, I'm trying to see like how can I cut this down.
This is beautiful. You know,
Yeah.
that's what I want to, as another question, ask. I mean, you must have had an experience with Jesus to become a nun.
Yes.
What is that experience?
I
Because
think-
if not, you wouldn't do this. What you're doing.
Yeah, just like growing up, my teacher just kept telling me how like Jesus like should be your best friend, and I just made that like reality of like telling him everything and making him my best friend, and just like talking to him like my best friend.
But is he reacting? People want to know, curious, okay, I can make somebody best friend, but it can be a delusion.
Yeah,
Is he
yes,
talking to you? Or
yeah.
You feel it in your heart?
Yeah, it's just that the peace in my heart is what really like took over. Of like I just knew that I went to college for a year, and then just like every time I went in adoration, I just knew that after 4 years this would be over. And just like I just always knew there was something more, and that peace is what I was like running after, and that love that was like enveloping like my whole life.
And you had, Jesus calls it the rebirth in the spirit. You had a special encounter in your life?
Tell me
What
about
happened?
the
Little
rainbow.
bit
Tell me about over the rainbow.
What happened?
Oh, okay. So one of the things is I our sisters run a summer camp, and so the best night there is our skit night that we do with the girls, and so the sisters also do a skit, and it's the best skit of the night. And so when they came out, they sang Somewhere Over the Rainbow. It's the Wizard of Oz movie, and when they sang that, the room was full of screaming little girls, but I felt like it was just me and the sisters there, like just me and them, and I've never felt that peace before in my life. And then so I just remembered that piece, and then a year later I went to a Catholic conference, and this sister, I was going to this talk, and she said, stop following the yellow brick road and follow the narrow road to his heart. And in this Wizard of Oz movie, it was like following this is how you get to the wizard's house. Yeah, it's to follow Emerald City. Yeah, Emerald City is to follow this yellow brick road. And so just hearing that, like, I need to stop doing what the world's telling me to do, but like follow like what truly matters is this narrow road. So just remembering that piece.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
And for you, how is it for you? What was your journey?
I grew up in a very Catholic community, and so yeah, priests and sisters were very normal. One of our sisters was my school librarian growing up. But I would say it took much longer for the faith to be in me versus just around me. And so in college, I was very easily distracted by the glitter. Yeah, the glitter of everything. But it all left me very unsatisfied and very torn. I mean, torn in half, basically, is how it felt. And I went to World Youth Day in Poland in 2016, and I encountered Jesus in the Eucharist, and he made it very clear that he loves me and there's nothing I can do to change that. And it was an encounter like I'd never had with him before.
Can you describe that for somebody who
oh my gosh. Yeah, so when I came to that, it was a huge adoration night. All the English-speaking pilgrims there were together, like thousands of people for sure. And my plan was to go for the music, listen to the talk, and leave before adoration. Because at that point in my life, I wasn't really in a good spot with Jesus. You know, I wasn't really, but they fooled me. We started with the music, and then Jesus came out, and then the talk, so I was trapped. And I just felt the weight of all of my sin and all the lies that I believed about myself at that moment, and I just felt like I couldn't even look up. It was just heavy on me.
Same with me.
And I just felt like a nudge. It wasn't like a voice, but just like a nudge to like look up, you know, and I just couldn't do it, but I felt it again, and so I did. I looked up, and Jesus was there. The monstrance was in the shape of a cross, and the Eucharist was right in the middle. And the song that was playing at the time was Good, Good Father. And so it says, you're a good, good Father, that's who you are, and I'm loved by you, that's who I am. And I just knew that was right to my heart, that he was speaking, like that he is good and that I am loved. And then it's like I heard in my heart, and there's nothing you can do about it, you know? And I just wept, like all that weight was off. And I just couldn't forget that. My life didn't change immediately, but he's patient. And so, you know, over the next like 7 years, he did a lot. And after finding so much freedom and joy in following him more closely and closely each day and knowing the sisters, it was just, that's exactly where I wanted to be. I was like begging him to let me be a Marian sister. And then he said yes. So I'm here.
Here you are.
Yeah.
Your face is shining. All of you. And for you, your journey.
My journey starts out a little differently. I did not grow up Catholic. I was baptized and confirmed and joined the church in 2015.
Why did you come into the church? And where were you before?
I was agnostic. I would say I didn't believe in God. I wasn't super. Yeah, I was proud of the fact that I was a good person and didn't need a 2,000-year-old book to tell me how to live my life. That was my phrase that I used. And I don't have any one particular moment. All I can say is that God, over the course of many years and through many influential people in my life, he softened my heart and weaseled his way in. And It was as though I had lived my life to the full, and I had done all these amazing things, and I had a very happy childhood, and I didn't know that I needed more. Like, I felt fulfilled, and I didn't know that I needed more until I was shown what the more was.
And what was what shown?
I can't even put my finger on it, but I know that I started going to Mass with some friends, and I was always going for them. I was accompanying them, and I was just standing there awkwardly. And there was one Mass where I was left alone. They left, and I was there by myself, and I didn't know why I stayed, but I did. And at that point, I knew I stayed because I wanted to stay, and I knew that there was something more. And it took me a while to find that, okay, this is Jesus, and he is a person, and he loves me for me. And yes, so that was my journey to the Catholic Church. It was a slow process. And then 2 years after there's another one of our sisters just walking by in the window.
Wow, we're all going to be religious after this. Yeah.
And so that was about 3 years from the first time I went to a Catholic Mass to when I entered the church at the Easter Vigil. And then 2 years after that is when I felt the call to religious life. And it was very much, I can pinpoint the day, I can pinpoint the hour that I was in my car. I was driving to a Bible study. And I just felt on my heart that God said, at some point, you're going to tell your family you'll be a religious sister. And at that point, I had met one sister before, but I had no idea what it meant. But I knew that it would. I started sobbing in the car, as one does when there's a profound moment of grace, and I knew that it would be a way that I could share my faith with my family. Because I was living my faith, I was fully involved. I was trying to get more involved, but my family was still living at home and away, 20 hours away on the other side of the country, and not a part of my faith. And so that brought me a lot of joy to know that this was going to be a way to share with my family. And it didn't leave that moment of grace. I carried it around with me. And it wouldn't leave, and so I knew I had to do something about it. And I reached out to the sisters, and then I reached out to a priest. Having not been Catholic, I didn't know if this was a normal phase that every girl went through, and the priest assured me that it is not normal, and
it's not normal.
That it is.
It must be normal.
But it's not. Like it is grace. It is a gift from God, and
It is like that.
it very much was something that he gave to me and he asked of me, and I couldn't say no.
How would you subscribe? Subscribe to my channel. How would you explain? Maybe somebody's listening right now and she's discerning to become a nun.
Yes.
How would she know that's the vocation? What would you tell her?
My first piece of advice is don't get caught up on the yes or no. Don't allow your prayer life to be boiled down to, am I supposed to do this? Am I supposed to do this? Like, it's all about just learning how to love Jesus more and learning how to let him love you and allowing him to love you in those ways.
Beautiful. And your journey. We want to know.
So I grew up in a great Catholic family. I went to Sunday Mass, all the things, went to Catholic school. The first time I really felt the Lord speaking on my heart, specifically with the vocation of religious life. I knew our sisters growing up a little bit, and when I was a senior in high school, a priest in his homily just kept repeating the words, "God has a plan for you, and it's awesome."
Come over. Come on.
You coming?
I'm scared.
You're next.
Come on.
So he just kept shouting, "God has a plan for you, and it's awesome." And every time he said those words, in my heart, I started dreaming of being a religious sister, of what that would look like. Before, I had only dreamed of, my family, what it was going to look like, all the kids that I was going to put in my minivan, and all the things. And then
That's a big change, you know.
Yeah, it is a big change.
Did you have a regret?
No, I didn't say yes right away, for sure. It took me a while, but I went off to college, and I continued to, in my heart, always feel this call to go deeper, but never being able to say yes. And there were 3 big fears that kind of overwhelmed me of why I I couldn't say yes to this plan that he had for me. One big fear was leaving my family. My family had had a lot of loss in their life, and I just felt like if I left, it would hurt my parents too much, and I didn't want to do that. And I also had a fear of not being a mom, not getting to be a mom.
Because that's a big decision.
Yeah, and that's a big decision too. And then the third fear, that I didn't feel that I was good enough. I had seen many religious sisters, and I didn't think that I could do what they did. I didn't think I was holy enough. I didn't think I was good enough. I didn't think I was beautiful enough. I didn't think all the enoughs. I didn't think I was. They let me in. Yeah, but so I had a very honest prayer, and I wrote down, Jesus, I am a dumb little sheep, and if you want me to do this, you're going to have to break my legs and carry me. And he very much carried me. So I got very sick for a while, and it was a way of like just uniting my suffering to the cross. And in that time, there was a lot of silence and a lot of deeper prayer, and having to trust and surrender everything to him.
It's the path we all have to go.
Yeah, and so through that, I was able to learn how to trust and surrender to his will. And yeah, I'm healthy now, which is beautiful. Yeah, and so I've learned a lot through that, and it helped me just like conquer that fear that like he wouldn't take care of me, because I just know that he will care for me, even in this life that I don't think I'm good enough for many times. But he does show me consistently that I am enough, and that he wants me, and he's chosen me. And so yeah, it's been beautiful so far. I'm the freshest, so I've only been in the convent for about 9 months, but
And there's a new one.
Introduce yourself.
On stage. Let's go.
My name is Sister Benedicta.
Yeah.
We're telling how you became a nun.
Yeah.
Oh,
your
okay,
vocation
okay,
story.
okay. Sure. Okay, so my name is Sister Benedicta, and I grew up in a small town called Runnels near Des Moines, Iowa. And that's really like, I don't know, I always include that in my story, and I feel like sometimes people think it's not super important, but I loved where I lived. I loved the town, and I loved the community, and I really saw myself living there for the rest of my life. And so growing up, my family was Catholic. We always went to Mass. We prayed together, like during Advent and Lent. But the idea of having a personal relationship with Jesus or praying on my own every day was not something that I was familiar with. Yeah, it was like very, very foreign to me. And so we went to Mass, and we went to religious education and everything. And I liked Jesus. I liked being Catholic, but I didn't really know the point. And so when I was getting ready to be confirmed, I kind of started asking the big question, like, if at confirmation you're supposed to be an adult in your faith, then like, what is this? Like, is it worth it? If Jesus is supposed to be everything, is he worth it? And so for a year, I really, like, as I was preparing for confirmation, I was really seeking out a lot of answers and really asking big of Jesus of a lot of things. And for my confirmation prep, we had to go to adoration. And that's really the first time that I remember going to adoration. And I remember looking at the monstrance and thinking, Jesus has to be more than I think he is. Because two things really struck me. The monstrance was so beautiful, and that people that I knew, and they were busy, and they had lives, they came and they took time out of their life to spend time with Jesus. And that was really inspiring to me. And so over the next months, I started to pray. I said, okay, Jesus, like, if you are real, what does it mean to be your friend? And what does it mean to have a relationship with you? And so I started praying every day and reading the Bible and asking Jesus, like, what is your plan for my life? Because you read Genesis and everyone's like, it's like God has a plan. So I was like, okay, what is it? And that is when I started to really desire to give my life to Jesus, but I had never met a religious sister. So I was like, okay, I will work for the church. And that's how I will serve Jesus forever. I'll live in Des Moines, which I love, and this will be great. And then I met sisters for the first time when I was a junior in high school, and I remember seeing them and being like instantly, like, I was like, they are cool and I like them, but I was like, people do not enter the convent. That was not like something people do. So I was like, okay, so they're sisters, and that's fun and that's cool, and this is what I'm going to do. And then I went to college. I went to Benedictine, and while I was there, I was studying theology. But it was really there where Jesus showed me that it doesn't matter how much I know about him, but what matters is if I know him in my heart. And so I was working with this program called Catechesis of the Good Shepherd. And I was, at that point, I was really becoming like, I was like, okay, Jesus, I think you want me to discern religious life, but I was really scared. I was really scared. Does Jesus know me? Does he care about me? Does he care about my hopes and dreams? And will I be unhappy? I found a lot of my identity in what I did and what I was going to do in the future. And we were reading the parable of the lost sheep, and I said, how does a good shepherd feel when he finds a sheep? And the child said, he is so happy, and he says, will you come with me? And that was just a moment where my heart realized that there was a lot of freedom in following Jesus, that he invites us to say yes to him. And so that allowed me to say, okay, Jesus, where are you inviting me to follow you? And where are you asking me to say yes to you? And which ultimately led me to religious life and to the Marian Sisters. So.
How is it for you, practically? You wear the veil?
Yeah, so we wear a veil and a habit.
Why the veil? Can you explain to people why that?
Why the veil? Yeah, so the veil, we wear a veil. When you think of veils, you think of brides. And so wearing a veil every day to show that we are a bride of Christ.
So beautiful, same for you. Was it a big change to
It's pretty different. Yeah. I mean, when you first get it, it's different. Having it on your head, and you kind of feel like someone's always pulling on your head a little bit. But it only took like a week or two to
get used to it.
Yeah, you totally get used to it.
And the white one, that means you are young sister.
Yes, yeah. So I'm a novice. I will profess my first vows on August 13th. So it's coming up.
Wow,
yeah, it's coming up. But yes, I'm a novice.
Convinced, no?
Yes, Jesus is really good at that.
Unbelievable, yeah.
It's beautiful to wear the veil, because then anywhere we go, people recognize us as sisters. And so since we've given our lives to Jesus to be that witness, and I don't know, then people come up to us and they ask us for prayers, or they tell us they trust us with information about their life. Yeah, or want their pictures or hugs or
And
stuff.
there's another one. Yeah. I don't know who you are now.
I'm Sister Kateri. I was just up in my room waiting for Sister Gabriel, and I thought, this has been a while, so I came down to investigate. What would you like to know?
What is your journey? Why are you sitting here in a habit?
Because God's grace is amazing. From when I was very little, anytime I saw a sister, I always thought that they were great, and I remember distinctly putting my nightgown on my head to wear it like a veil. And I have two older sisters who are close in age with me, and neither of them did that. So I was like, oh, well, I guess I like to play dress up more than they do. But over the years, every time I met a sister, my heart just came alive, and till they started talking about prayer, and I was like, whoa, I don't pray. I can't do the thing that they're talking about. And when I was in high school, I got involved with some things that were just destructive behaviors and going down a not pretty path. And some friends invited me to prayer and confession, and it took a lot of prodding on their part. I was resistant, but over time there was this change within my heart, and there was a lot of big moments along the way, but each of those big moments even took time to really settle in and to take the impact that they needed to. One of them was when Mother Teresa was being canonized. I went to a Catholic high school, and they had the presentation on her in the auditorium, talking about this new ministry they're starting to feed the homeless downtown. And I didn't want to, because I worked a few jobs and I didn't have time for it. And there's this voice inside that said, you're called to be like her. I was like, fine, I'll go feed the homeless. And the voice said, no, you're called to be like her. And I was like a nun? And the voice said, yes. And I was terrified, not only because my job schedule to go feed the homeless, which I never end up doing that, at least in that context. I did elsewhere. But I was also terrified because I'd been dating a guy for a while, and I was like, whoa, we have all of our hopes and dreams and plans planned out, and this isn't going to allow that to happen. So over time, my good friends, they continue to encourage me with prayer, and I just really found a lot of joy, and I didn't understand it, but I knew that there was something special, so I continued praying and going to retreats. And the first retreat I went on was because I met a sister at a gym. After praying, God gave me a sign, and seeing a sister at a gym exercising definitely did that. And then that following year, I went to Benedictine College where I met the sisters who are in my community. And as I continued at that college throughout the year, my prayer life turned in more from Jesus just being a person to Jesus being my best friend, to Jesus being someone who I wanted to share everything with, and not just share it with him, but to give him my entire heart. And being around the sisters, the Marian sisters in my community, I discovered that the way that they lived, that way of love and that prayer, was exactly what I was made for. So without too much hesitation, I dropped out of college after the end of the year and entered that fall. Mm-hmm.
Wow, speechless. What can you say? Because you left a lot of things behind.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And here in Medjugorje, what I learned, very important, these times we all have to learn to surrender. Mm-hmm. How would you explain somebody? How can somebody surrender his life? Can be as a layperson, priest.
Yeah.
How is the process? How do you do that? To surrender your life?
Surrender is
divine will, living in the divine.
To live in the divine. It's not easy thinking about the practicals of it, because it's scary to think I'm giving up these things that I love, but also we look beyond these things on earth to what is heavenly, and when we do that, there is a joy that comes with it. And oftentimes that joy is difficult to find, because when I was leaving college, my friends, they were so close to me and it was very hard to leave them, but the joy of saying yes to Jesus allowed me to see that the trials he would take care of them, and he would also take care of me. And so it's when that joy is strong, even if the feelings aren't following the joy, there's a great surrender there, and to look at him more than we look at what is being surrendered, because he will take care of all of it.
And for you, can you explain a bit surrender?
Surrender?
Yeah.
I think for me, surrendering, or just giving it all to him. And so you can't give away what you don't have. And so if I don't have a relationship with the Lord, I wouldn't be able to surrender. It's my personal relationship with him that gives me confidence and trust. And with that trust, I'm able to give him everything. Yeah.
Beautiful. And for you?
One of the things that struck me a lot since entering the convent is that Jesus, he allows us to learn what we are holding on to, because I think sometimes we don't even know what needs to be surrendered. We don't know that we're grasping so tightly onto it, and then he allows us that insight to know that we can let go of it and we can give that to him. And so there's been multiple times since entering the convent that I've said, Jesus, I feel like I've given you everything, and I've learned that there's something more. There's always more with God, but there's always another door to walk through, to surrender more to him, to give more of your heart to him. And you don't know that at first, because I think it's a little overwhelming at first, but just little by little, he allows you to give him everything.
We have this teddy bear in the arm and we don't want to let it go.
Correct. Correct.
Yes.
Yep.
No. And for you? Yeah.
I think some of the deepest and most beautiful moments of surrender for me have come when I finally admit that I can't do it. That I can struggle all I want, and I keep saying I want to surrender, or I do surrender, and I'll open it and then close it, kind of here you go, never mind. But when I finally admit that I can't do it, that's when his grace can fill me up to do it. He surrenders in me because I can't do it.
You have to understand, this is the process. Often we come to that end in our life. We don't know what to do. That's God saying, give. Trust.
Yes, that's been huge. It's knowing my poverty and just how poor I am, but that's exactly where Jesus has the most room to fill, and the most to work with. When I am willing to say I can't do it. And because he'll never leave me there.
Just authentic.
He really does the surrendering, and I just try to let him. Just try to, admit that I need him, which is, what he wants. He wants to be a savior. That's who he is.
Yeah, That's what I learned as well, you know. Where is the Savior and where you need to be saved? We Germans want to be perfect.
Yeah.
Nope.
That's right.
Yeah, nobody's perfect.
No.
There
Maybe
he
Savior.
says, here I am, close to you, where you fall. And for you? Surrender, yeah?
Surrender, yeah. Oh yeah, it's
Thank you.
no, I think so. Recently, Jesus has been asking me to surrender a lot, like in my relationships and in really close relationships. And there are times when every part of me wants to hold on and say, like, Jesus, I can fix this and I can make it better and I can do it. And when it's right, then when I think it's fixed, then I'll bring it to you. And just realizing that, like, that is not what he wants and that is not what he desires, but he desires to like in those moments when I feel the most like I can fix this and I can do this, and like when it is perfect and then I'll bring it to you, that he wants to come and fill that and to be the one that, like, I don't know, when I am, like, when we are sad and when we are frustrated and when we are mad, to be the one that we go to and to share those feelings with him, so that way he can fill our hearts and help those that, like, I don't know, in particular, like, in my relationships, that he can, like, help them, and, like, that I entrust these people to him and that he will take care of them, and in turn then he like shows his love to me and his gentleness.
And for you?
Okay.
What would you tell people?
That surrendering is really difficult.
Struggle, no?
Yeah, yes. But I think especially, like, for us as religious, like, if we don't surrender, then, like, what is the point? You know, of, like, that is, like, the whole point of our lives. And we're on this 2-week Marian pilgrimage. So we went to Fatima, Lourdes, and now we're in Medjugorje as our last stop. Wow. Yeah, yes, yes. Yes, yeah. But like one of the things that Mary, like just praying with Mary and Jesus of like, what do you want me to do during these 2 weeks? And the first thing she said was to surrender. Because I just keep learning that, like, I'm so good at telling God, like, what I want. Yeah, exactly. Of like, we're here to do God's will, but like, I want God to do my will. And so just like having to trust him. And I think like each place we go to, I keep being reminded that like I am his daughter. And to like be childlike again, and just to remember of like, when did I lose my innocence? Like, I just always need to be a child forever and let Mary and Jesus like love me and take care of me, you know? So just, yeah. Yep.
And your experience, if you compare now Lourdes, Fatima, what would you say?
Can't compare.
I don't.
You can't compare.
They're all so different.
Yeah.
What is the beauty of the places?
Yes.
Maybe this is good.
Yeah. So they all. I mean, I had no idea what to expect when we came, but they all have been really, really different. And just like a little bit of personally, I feel like each one has just like opened my heart and prepared me a little more for what the next place has to offer. And so we're really at the very beginning of our Medjugorje experience. So we just came, but just seeing the innocence of all the people that Mary appeared to, and their openness and their docility. And so just in myself, awakening this desire to return to that innocence and allow Mary and Jesus to care for me. And like just seeing that so prominently in all three places.
I think that's the message we all have to get back into the world.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And for you, Lourdes, Fatima, Medjugorje, this sounds like Monte Carlo, Paris.
Yes. No,
for the lake people.
one of our guides commented like how, you know, you fly into an airport and you have to drive. All of these places you have to drive, you know, for at least an hour and sometimes more from your airport to get, you know, that Mary kind of came out of the way to show her presence and show her love to the world. And I think it's beautiful to see that similarity, but that she's willing to go out of her way to show me that she is present and she loves me and she's my mother, you know, and to bring me to Jesus, that she's willing to do that wherever it's at, you know. And so that's kind of been, yes. And so, it is beautiful to like go to these places, you know, but we'll have to go home eventually. But I know that she's more than willing to go out of her way to bring me to her son. And so that's something from all of them.
That's so beautiful. And you, Fatima, Lourdes.
All of these things, especially the little children that she has appeared to, and their willingness to trust and just to do what she says, and
surrender, no?
yes, and to surrender everything. But also what you said about, or maybe not what you said, but something you said reminded me that there's just been so many languages and so many different people and so many walks of life, and that there's just this common language of faith that you come and everyone is praying the rosary, and in all kinds of languages, and but it doesn't matter what language you speak. And it was beautiful because we got to celebrate Pentecost when we were in Lourdes.
Wow.
And so it's kind of been a perpetual Pentecost, as there's been so many languages, but we're all kind of understanding one another because we're all here.
Heart to heart.
Yes, we're all here for the same reason.
What difference, Lord, the beauty of the place?
Sure, I think all of them have been absolutely beautiful, and I've loved getting to go to each. Yeah, obviously we haven't been in Medjugorje very long yet, but still just the presence of Our Lady is here. Like, we feel that in our own mother house daily. Our Lady protects our community. We're Marian sisters, so she has a special protection over us. And I think the most beautiful thing that I've noticed in each of the places we've been is that they've all felt like our home, like our convent. And each place, like, there has been a moment where I felt like I am at home, meaning like in our convent. So with our sisters back home, as we're here, like, we're bringing our sisters from back home with us here on this pilgrimage. Like, we're all in formation, but there are many other sisters in our community. And so my favorite part of each place has been just like recognizing that atmosphere of peace that is here, and Our Lady's protection over our community.
So beautiful. Yeah. The differences, what was it?
More of a similarity of the three. It really hit me this morning as we were hiking, or even going to Apparition Hill, and seeing all the different places that Mary appeared to, even at different points we walked along the way in different places on the hill, and knowing that she's not limited to time and space. She wants to come to us, and something beautiful, the fact that she has been to Lourdes and Medjugorje and Fatima and all these places, and even in Fatima she appeared to the children in different places depending on the circumstances, and that all she really wants is my heart to be open. All she wants is to love me and to be my mother, and it doesn't matter where I am. It's my disposition and my childlikeness that will allow that to happen even more. And so all of that together, I mean, it just hit me a few hours ago, so I have a lot more to digest with it.
Yeah, because it's quite intense, no?
Yes, but I'm very much looking forward to seeing that. But then there are also the differences in the age of the children and that. But yeah, definitely the physical poverty, the remoteness, and the openness of each of the visionaries and at each of the places, despite the differences of the circumstances for making each of those criteria.
And last question, you all pray the rosary, no? I guess.
Yes, we do.
Yes, every day. And what's the beauty for you of the rosary prayer?
I really love the rosary. There's many reasons. The primary one is that it is Mary sharing with me the life of her son. It's through her eyes and through her heart that she is walking with me to meet Jesus even more. As just not only is she my mother-in-law because I'm married to Jesus, but she's also my mother. So like all these different aspects, and just like we're looking through photo albums of Jesus' life together, but not just looking through it. She wants me to experience that.
And what's going on there, no?
Yes.
And for you, rosary prayer?
I love the rosary. My favorite way to pray the rosary is walking rosaries, of just like holding my rosary and going on a walk. And each time I do that, I just sense just Mary holding my hand and coming and being a mother to me now. In the convent, like, we're away from our own physical mothers, right, our biological mothers, but Mary has really like held my hand these first 9 months of community life and my whole life whenever I've prayed the rosary. And I enjoy making rosaries because I want to give them to people so that they can have that experience too of just Our Lady holding their hand.
And for you, agnostic to...
Yes.
Tell us the story.
Yes,
of the rosary prayer for you.
I will say I originally had a hard time praying the rosary, especially during adoration, because I'm like, okay, Jesus is present with us here in a special way in the monstrance, and yet I'm asking for Mary's help to lead me to Jesus, but he's right in front of me. So it was a little rocky, but I did know before I entered the convent, before I was officially Catholic, there were a few instances where one time I was hiking, and we were in bear territory, and had been a bear sighting, and I immediately just instinctively started praying Hail Marys, and that was so multiple times there had been. Whether out of danger or out of fear or out of something, I immediately just prayed, like, just continual Hail Marys, and just as a little kid would, like, go to their mom for comfort and protection. And so I often now, just with my, I'm a teacher, and so with my schedule, I often pray the rosary in the car, and I often just keep praying. Even if it's not a whole second rosary, I just kind of keep praying more decades, just for the comfort of more of them, yeah.
And for you, rosary prayer?
I once had a priest tell me that when you pray the rosary, you know, if you pray in a group, like, it's like you receive the grace from all of those rosaries. So if all 6 of us prayed, you know, this rosary together, then it's like I prayed 6 rosaries, you know. And so me, at first being selfish, I was like, oh, sweet. Like, I always want to pray the rosary in a group, because then you just get so much more. But I think from then on, I've had just such a confidence that for me, like, the rosary, you know, I just know that Mary as my mother, whether I'm falling asleep as I pray my rosary, or I'm having the most intense, beautiful encounter with our Lord while I'm praying my rosary, or if I'm distracted, or, you know, I only get half said, or whatever it is, I just know that as a mother, like, she's happy to receive that gift. And so I just feel like a great confidence that she'll take me as I am when I pray the rosary, that she will always receive that. And it is my favorite to pray it with other people, still for that reason, but I just think it's beautiful. Yeah, it's just beautiful to come together in that way. And I just know that she receives that however I am, but for better or worse.
And for you?
I often pray the rosary on the way to school. And there's just something that I don't know, that I really enjoy about starting my day with the rosary and starting my day with Mary, and just like recalling these events in Jesus's life, but also like looking at them with Mary and through Mary, and like the virtues that Mary displays and the way that she said yes, and her docility and her obedience, and just being able to start my day with that and know that like that is the kind of person that I want to be.
I would like to second everything the sisters say, of course, but also like how soothing and calming it is. Like, I feel like, I mean, we pray the rosary every day, like that's part of our customs and rules, but like when I am scared of something, when I'm mad at Jesus, when I don't know what to say, like the first things I do is say the rosary or say the Hail Marys, because it's like the memorized prayer. But even so, on all these pilgrimages, I'm like, what should I get to remember, like all these beautiful places I've gone to? And when praying with that, I realized the most important way to get to know Mary is through the rosary. So I've been going, each place I've gone to, I've gotten a different rosary to remind me of like the encounters I had there, but also, yeah, just like the best way to get to know Mary is through the rosary.
And what would you tell? What is so beautiful about our Catholic faith? Maybe somebody listening now who is not...
Jesus, exactly.
Think about our Catholic faith.
Exactly. Totally scriptural you are.
Yeah.
Well, what can I say? Thank you so much for that beautiful interview.
Of
You want to greet somebody maybe somewhere?
Oh my gosh. Hi, Mom and Dad. Nebraska.
Woo, GBR. Go Big Red.
Our sisters.
I hope my family watches this.
Thank you so much. Yeah?
God bless you.